Hi, Kat here for Lightwave Digital. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add custom item shapes and custom item objects to an item in your scene as helpers for trying to figure out how far something might be, or if you need to keep a label on something so you don't lose it in your scene. Let's go and load something as a subject here. Let's go and grab our yellow box, which isn't yellow anymore. It's got a grid pattern texture on it. And I want to always know how far away this box might be from, say, the light or the camera. Let's double click the box, and under the Appearance tab, we're looking for a item called Rangefinder. Now, if you don't like lists and you don't like searching for stuff, maybe you've got bad eyes or you just got a lot of items here and here and you don't want to look for it, you can always just hit the drop down and then type in Rangefinder, and you can search for it automatically, and away you go. You can do that with pretty much any list menu in Lightwave. So now we know that this box, by default, has the rangefinder set to the camera. So if the camera was, say, 4.88 meters, and you could just see the little bit of yellow there, or the text in the center there, if it's a little bit too hard to figure out where it is, you can always offset it so it can sit above the object somewhere. And you also have a precision factor that you can dial in here, so you can tell exactly where it is if you need that kind of precise number. Usually you don't really need anything past 3 digits past the decimal place, especially if you're working in metric, but that's up to you. Your scene may require it. You can also offset the label. So if you want to float it somewhere, it's very easy to do. But here's another application for this. Let's just remove this for a second. And let's go to the Utilities tab. And under Generics, you'll see Generic Plugins. We're going to go over to the menu here. We're going to go Add Rangefinder. Once we found it, we just select it. And again, this is going to draw the distance from a null that's been automatically created, which we can make very good use of. Let's do something to help us out though. Like when I'm setting up scenes for animating and I want to control something, I want to know exactly where something is, possibly for the reasons of controlling depth of field or linear fog or placing something that might have a dependency on how far something is from the camera. This is a great thing that you can do. We know that this camera is 4.88 meters away from the box because that's roughly where the origin of the box is currently, and that's where the distance object was created. Let's plug it underneath of the camera, and now let's change the X and Y just so this doesn't have any offset, and we can lock these channels out from being used. You draw a link, and now you have basically at any time a little rangefinder so you can find out how far this null is, and if it's intersecting an object, that's where you can tie it to a depth of field or focal length distance, again linear fog if you're doing those types of effects, and easily and quickly get some indication as to how far something is away. Now if you need a little bit more help with that, let's go and add a custom object called item shape. And I don't like to use the standard because that's just a null again, or the default null shape. We can use a grid and put it on the z-axis, and then anytime that you have this interacting with the object, slicing it in half, you know exactly where your distance is, and you can tie that to a function like, say, depth of field. So you can link this up with depth of field. In order to do this properly, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the distance to 0 and set this to 0, and we're going to go and link it via channel follower, not to the camera, but to the Z distance of the null. Now when I select the camera, you'll see that the fog circle, or the depth of field circle, is exactly where that plane sits. So you know exactly where your depth of field is. That's a really, really handy trick for those of you that really want to get into the cinematography side of things. And because you can't see this depth of field circle unless the camera's selected. This way you know exactly where that depth of field is going to cross. That's a very simple relationship that you can set up pretty much with anything in Lightwave. You can also do that with lights and their fall off distance. You can figure out how far objects are from each other at any point in time. Very, very simple to do. And of course, all of this can be animated or controlled via the graph editor and various modifiers. Thanks for watching.